Today we're going to talk about what to wear in wet weather conditions. It's all in my face. Yo, and welcome back to Dan Escapes. Hope you are all doing very well. And if you're new to my channel, I am Dan and I like to escape on my bikes. So I kindly like you to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel as it helps a lot and I appreciate it so much. But yeah, let's get on to this wet weather video. So here in the UK, it rains a lot. Yes, it does. And I just wanted to help you prepare for those kind of conditions. And I've spent a lot of time hiking in the mountains, riding in wet weather, just walking around in London and just getting caught out in rainstorms. And this is stuff I've learned from over the years. And a lot of the gear I'm going to talk about has lasted me a long time. So, you know, when it comes to it, buy decent products because they are going to last you a long time rather than having to get something that's cheap and then you replace it. It's just waste. First things first, you do not want to wear any cotton. So I'm wearing a cotton t-shirt right now and a denim shirt, and those are big no-nos. Unless you've got a rain shell to cover both of them, I'd recommend not wearing this, especially in a sporty environment. You don't want to be wearing something like cotton or denim. We're going to work our way down the body, but we're going to start off with the head. So first things first, I don't really like to protect my head much. I don't wear like any sort of caps, especially when I'm riding. I just like to have the helmet and have the air breathe through, because when you're doing activities like hiking, riding or running, that's where a lot of heat is expelled. The only time I cover it is in severe rain conditions or if it's super cold. In the summer, I've used a Gore-Tex hat. These are great because they're breathable, but also protect you from the rain. I've got this one from North Face and it's great in the summer because it's got the peak to protect you from the sun. Also keeps the rain out of your face as well. So these are great, but you can't really wear them under your helmets when you're riding. When it gets a bit colder, I have seen skull caps that you can wear underneath your helmets that cover your ears and are water repellent as well. But I've never tend to get on with those. And I have worn balaclavas when it was really cold. Those were designed for skiing and I actually wore them here in the UK when I've been riding out in the very cold conditions. One thing I do like to use is a buff. This protects my neck and also you can pull it over your ears so it will keep your ears nice and warm. Plus they're from a material that dries really quickly if it gets wet. This one I've also worn in the summer as well because this has a UV protection layer on top. So if I've been on a boat and there's no protection from the sun, I usually cover this over my face and wear some sunglasses and a hat just to keep the sun off me so I don't get burnt. Before we get onto the body, which is the most important part to protect, I'm gonna go on to the hands. And I tend to not wear gloves, but I've noticed in wet conditions, they tend to get really slippery on the grips. So that's why I've been using these Fox gloves. They've got a nice material on the palms to keep grip and premium on the handlebars. And also it's quite light on top, so it breathes in the summer as well. And also if you come off your bike, it's nice to have your hands protected. When it comes to winter, I've been using these sealskin gloves and they've been amazing. They've got nice padding, so if you do come off your bike, you're not gonna ruin your hands. But also they've got a waterproof material over the top, which keeps out any of the rain, and it's insulated inside for the winter, which is a must. Moving on to the body. So you're gonna start off with your first layer, your base layer. So you can wear something like this. I usually wear these Nike compression tops. They're quite nice. They're quite snug as well. They're quite tight and you can layer on top of that. So this is kind of like the first layer, or if you're cycling and hiking in colder conditions, you can get a merino wool-based layer which will insulate the heat from your body and they dry really quickly as well. Then you can layer it on top with a jersey over the top like this. I've got a riding one. These dry really quickly when they're wet. You can also get them in t-shirt forms. I've got so many here that, you know, it's great for when I'm running as well. And even in the hot conditions in the summer where you don't want like a second layer, you just wear something like this and if it rains, it will dry off really quickly. Moving on to insulation layers, you don't want to be wearing something like a jumper because obviously, again, cotton, and they don't breathe that well. So I've been using this thing and it's from Patagonia. You're gonna see a lot of Patagonia products from me here right now, but this one's called the R1 Fleece. It keeps you warm in the right places, so protecting your body, but where your armpits are. It's really breathable, and yeah, it's just a great piece of kit. I've ridden loads in this, take it on every hike, every climb I've done. This goes with me everywhere. If we're going into colder conditions, I'll chuck something like this. I think this one's called a Nano Puff or Nano Air. I think it's a Nano Air. It insulates but also keeps you cool when you're active. So, you know, it's really good at expelling heat as well at the same time. If you're going into Baltic conditions, you probably want to look at getting something a bit more thicker in insulation. You can get something like this, which is a down jacket, which I got from Patagonia again. I love down, but I can't buy it anymore. You know, since buying this, I have gone vegan, so down for me is out of the question. I will not buy it again. But it does keep you warm. The only problem is they don't do well in wet conditions. I'd happily wear something like this in the rain because I know it can dry really quickly. Whereas this, if the feathers get wet, they all clump together. I know Patagonia do this new jacket. I can't remember on the top of me. I'll put it down here. But it's synthetic and it's really lightweight, but has the same insulation as down. That would be another purchase of mine if I can, but they're very expensive. You're looking at £200 for the jacket. But I've heard great things about it, and I've seen so many cyclists, they carry it. So now we're coming on to rain shells, and this is probably the most important part of kit you should get, as it will protect your body from getting wet and also your clothes underneath it. I have 4 main rain jackets I have. It's a bit excessive, I know, but I'll explain to you why. The main 3 are these here. And these are all from Patagonia. And what's great about the Patagonia products is they have stuff pockets which they go into. So the first one is this one here. I can't remember the name of it. I can't remember the name of any of these rain jackets actually, but this is a really thin, lightweight one. And yeah, it will do the job. And I use it a lot in the summer when I'm walking around town because it just packs down so small. I can just clip it to my trousers if I wanted to. So the only problem with this is because obviously it's really thin, in really, really heavy conditions, the rain sometimes seeps through, but most parts it will do its job. But I would never use this when it comes to active riding or hiking, running, because it has no ventilation. If you see here, it's all sealed up. So once it's on, it turns into a sauna. That's why we're gonna move on to this one here. This one, really lightweight again, like this one. But it's got a bit of a stretch to it, so it's better for active wear. And if you're riding, running, hiking, climbing, this is really good and it's what you'll need. I love this jacket. This is my go-to for any activity. But the most important thing is it's got air vents here. So there's a zip on the underarm, so that'll let out a lot of heat and keep it regulated. It's a bit more burly. It's called the Torrent Shell. I've had this one for years and it's lasted me so well. But yeah, really heavy rain conditions, this is the go-to. When in the winter, I'll take this with me. Again, it's got underarm air vents, but yeah, it's just a lot thicker material and more burly. The only thing is it doesn't have the stretch like this one does. One thing I would mention with the Patagonia stuff is because they're designed for climbing, if you look on the hoods, they've got this cinch at the back, and this is supposed to go over your climbing helmet, and this works really well with cycling helmets as well, and that's why Patagonia stuff are really good for riding. And then you get onto this ski jacket that I bought. Found it in a shop called TK Maxx here in the UK. I think it's called TJ Hughes in the US. They might have changed the name. It's a North Face Gore-Tex skiing jacket, which in really wintry, heavy conditions I end up wearing anyway. So when I'm cycling, when it's really cold, I'll put this on. And the great thing about these rain jackets, they're windbreakers at the same time. So if you're in strong wind, this will stop that wind chill coming in and hitting you. And yeah, that's why a rain jacket is my favorite thing and why you should actually spend some money on it. And I've had these for years, especially all these ones. I've been on so many climbing adventures with these ones and they've lasted me so long. And you've got to really look after them and protect them and use the right cleaning products with them. The best purchases I've ever made. Before we get into the legs, I want to talk about your private area, you know. And for that, I always wear quick dry underwear, and I've got these cheap ones from Uniqlo, which I love. They're really airy, and obviously if it gets sweaty down there, it dries really quickly. Obviously if you get soaked through in the rain, dries really quickly. I've been in a scenario where I was walking around London on my lunch break and the heavens opened and it soaked right through to my underwear, and I was sat in this office and I had wet underwear and I couldn't get them dry. I've got these ones from Patagonia, again, obviously, and obviously Uniqlo do these. I think they're called the Airism ones. Really good product and cheap. And then for riding, you know, I've got the quick dry ones, but also it's got the pads on the inside. So if I'm going on a very long ride, I'll just chuck these on and my buttocks won't feel that sore afterwards. So when it comes to legs, obviously, again, quick dry helps, because if you're wearing heavy jeans and they get soaked, it's not pleasant to walk around in them. You don't have to wear a waterproof shell, but I've got one like this from Patagonia and it packs into itself like the jackets do. They're great if you're in a really heavy rainstorm, and yeah, these, you know, I'll only put them on as a last resort because they do get very sweaty and you don't ideally want to be wearing them when you're being very active. So yeah, these are a last resort if it's really, really heavy rain. I tend to, when I'm either riding, I use these Patagonia pants. They're really good. They've got zip pockets on them, so it makes sure everything in there is secure, so nothing's gonna fall out when you're on the trail and, you know, going over heavy, rough terrain and doing jumps. So nothing will fall out my pockets there. Plus they're really stretchy, which is great. Really love these products, and they repel the water as well, but obviously if they get soaked, they dry really quickly. Then I'm going to talk about these trousers I got from Uniqlo, and I've been using them for years now. This one's got loads of holes in it and it's being worn away because I've worn them so much, but they look like smart trousers, but they are very stretchy. They are super comfortable to wear. It's like wearing tracksuit bottoms, and they dry really quickly when they get wet. So I've used these to climb in. I've been up the side of mountains on these. I hike in them, I ride in them, I do everything in them basically, and I can go to places and look smart in these. And they were only like £20. I think they're, due to inflation and pricing now, I think they're up to like £25, £30, but that's still good for a pair of trousers. And I've got them in loads of different colors. They've, you know, I find it hard to wear jeans now because of these. When it comes to summer, I'm just gonna wear shorts. I tend to just wear board shorts anyway because I like the way they are. They're stretchy, quite, they're not too baggy, and they dry really quickly when it's wet. Legs in the winter, I don't tend to wear that much insulation. I have got leggings, which I do wear, and they're quick dry, so they'll keep the heat in and they'll keep me dry if it gets really wet. So those are ideal in colder conditions. So let's move down onto the feet, and I'm gonna talk about socks. You know, you can get quick drying socks. I've got these ones here, which I use for hiking and riding. They do the job. They're quite cushioned on the bottom as well if you're doing long hikes. But if they get really wet, they dry really quickly, but also insulate your feet as well, just to keep them warm. Yeah, I love these, even wear them in the summer because they're so cool, and in the winter because they keep you warm. It's weird. You've got ski socks as well. Again, these are made from like stance, and they're like merino wool mixed with a blend. So this keeps you really warm and dry at the same time. All right, so when it comes to shoes, this is a bit of a tricky area. I've got two pairs here. I've got my hiking shoe, which is actually an approach shoe which climbers use to get to their climbing spots, because where they tend to be is a lot of scrambling. So these are ideal for small scrambles. I've even climbed in these, to be honest, but they have a Gore-Tex layer inside, which means if I step in water, they won't get soaked. Well, water won't get through anyway. Same with these. I've got these Nike shoes, which I kind of use as shoes just to walk around town in, and they're great in wet conditions because there's nothing worse than walking around in a rainstorm with wet feet, then it dries, and then you're just stuck with wet socks, wet shoes, and it's horrible. So if you want, get some Gore-Tex lined shoes. I've even got some smart Gore-Tex lined shoes as well, like Clark's Originals. They did some, and they're ideal, especially in the winter. Another option I'm going to tell you about is what I like to do when I ride, or even if you're doing stuff where you're going to be jumping into water, because if you're wearing a Gore-Tex shoe or a waterproof shoe and water gets inside, the water doesn't come out. It's really hard to drain. This is why I like riding in these shoes, because obviously the water pours out really quickly. You can get a Gore-Tex version of that, but it becomes really pricey, and I don't want to have a winter shoe and a summer shoe. I want to have a shoe all year round. So the best option would be to get waterproof socks. I don't actually own waterproof socks, and I think I will get some, but I've seen Sealskin, who do my gloves for the winter riding, they do their own waterproof socks. They do one for summer and one for winter. So in the winter one's a bit thicker and it's got a merino wool lining and then the waterproof layer, whereas the summer one's just got the waterproof layer and it's quite a thin sock. So those would be ideal for pairing up with shoes like this that drain really quickly. So yeah, that's my wet weather gear I like to wear when I'm either riding, hiking, just walking around town in general. Let me know what you think. Is there anything I've missed out or that you wear? Or let me know if this has inspired you to change what you wear in the summers and the winters. And even when it comes to walking around town, has that kind of made you think, actually, you know, I have been caught out in the rain and it's really uncomfortable. Maybe I should get some of those quick drying pants. But yeah, that's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as it helps a lot and I appreciate it so much. Hope you're all staying safe, staying positive, having fun, and I shall see you in the next one. Today's gonna be a good day. Today's gonna be a good day. Alright, so